diet and exercising and still not getting the results you want? Did you know there are 7 factors that create weight loss resistance? Come on over to fit2love.tv/quiz and take the quiz and find out what factor might be sabotaging you. Today's show, why passive stretching is dangerous. So if you know me at all, or you've been watching my shows, or you've been part of my community for a while, you probably know that I'm not a big fan of passive stretching. I'm going to explain what it is, but first I want to ask you, where did you learn how to stretch? Some people probably learned in high school or junior high on a sports team from your football coach who was your math teacher during the day, right? So people that really didn't study the body particularly and how the body works, maybe they studied biology and a little bit of a lot of things about the body, but nobody really specifically on biomechanics, on anatomy and physiology, and definitely not on this particular subject of stretching. So I want you to visualize your muscle like Velcro. The inside, there are fibers. And as the muscle contracts and pulls together, what happens is something called cross-bridging. So imagine Velcro. And the cross-bridging, again, is what's pulling the muscle together and shortens it. This is a very strong position. You've got all this cross-bridging, or let's say Velcro, that's connected. It's really, really strong. And as it starts to stretch and lengthen, it loses its strength because it loses the cross-bridging. You get to a certain place where there's no longer any cross-bridging, which means there's no neurological control from your brain to your muscle. Once there's no longer any cross-bridging in the muscle, we are in a complete stretch, but it leaves the muscle susceptible to be torn. Because honestly, in this lengthened position, this muscle no longer is moving. This muscle is no longer active. It's sleeping, so to speak, right? But in order for a muscle to get like this, some other muscle has to be pulling it there. All your muscles are synergistic. So let's take the bicep, for instance. So the biceps originate up here and attach down here, and when this contracts, my tricep stretches. I can't contract my bicep and tricep at the same time. When my tricep contracts, my bicep stretches. So now you understand that every muscle in the body has a synergistic relationship with the opposite muscle. When one's contracting, the other one is stretching. So let's go back to, why are you stretching in the first place? What is the point of stretching? Most people think that stretching allows them to move further. So let's say, for instance, I want to stretch, I want to be able to pull my shoulders back further behind me, and I want to be able to stretch my chest further, okay? Well, in order to do that, in order to pull this muscle further away from each other, some muscle has to be contracting in order for that to happen, right? So again, that no cross-bridging, relaxed muscle doesn't do anything. So relaxed muscle doesn't move bone. Contracted muscle moves bone. So if you want to increase your range of motion, concentrate on the muscles that are pulling you into that position, not on the ones that are relaxed, doing nothing. So let me give you an example. I'm going to lay down, and we're going to do a hamstring stretch, but in an active stretching form. And I'm going to show you the dangers of what happens when you potentially do it in a passive stretching way. So we're going to contract our quadricep in order to stretch our hamstring. And I recommend watching the video we did called All Muscles Pull, Not Push, to sort of get familiar with sort of that idea of how you're visualizing and thinking about contracting your muscle. So you're going to imagine all your quadricep muscles go from your knee up to your hip, and you're going to shorten them just like an accordion, or again, like we're grabbing the pants and gathering them and pulling them up. So I'm going to concentrate on pulling from my quadricep. I am gathering that muscle and I am contracting it all the way up into the hip, and because now my quadricep is fully engaged, my hamstring is relaxed. This is my current active range of motion. The reason why passive stretching is dangerous is because if I grab my leg and pull it towards me, this tissue can't go there without this extra resistance. And what can happen is I can tear that tissue. And when you tear tissue, you weaken the muscle, you create an injury, obviously an inflammation, it's gonna hurt. And then there's also potentially gonna be scar tissue after that. So passive stretching doesn't honor your active range of motion. And passive stretching doesn't change your active range of motion. Active stretching does. So again, I'm focusing on pulling my quadricep. My brain is talking to my quad. I'm pulling and pulling. And the more I do this, the greater the range of motion becomes, the better the stretch for the hamstring. And I'm honoring my anatomical current level of flexibility, if you will, within my structure. When you passive stretch, you put yourself at risk for injury because the muscle isn't going to tell you when it's too far. In a personal training situation, lots of times, and I did it myself, I'm guilty of it, a personal trainer will come and put their whole body weight and push you all the way down. That's going to potentially rip all that muscle, and I'm not going to necessarily know it until it's inflamed and it hurts later. So just remember that passive stretching does not increase your active range of motion. Now, passive stretching feels good, which is why people do it. They're like, oh, but this feels so nice. And that's fine. If you want to do it because it feels good, it feels like a relaxation, just be aware. Be in your body. Make sure you're noticing the cues, and if it feels too far, stop. Make sure you breathe into it. Again, I'm going to recommend that we do some active stretching. And in the next video, I'm going to show you the top 5 active stretches to get and build range of motion in your whole entire body. Did you learn something? You want to learn more right now? Come on over to fit2love.tv and check out our Movement Mondays.